One is we're making a recording of this meeting. So if you happen to drop off mid-session, you can always just email us and you'll receive a recording, an audio of this meeting. Our email address is up on the screen now, and it is concepts.ug@gmail.com. Concepts.ug, excuse me, concepts.ug@gmail.com. Then if you have any questions, if you come up with any questions during the presentations, please hold on to them until the Q&A section of the meeting. That's so we don't lose them in the comments that will be coming up in the duration of the meeting. Another thing is all mics have been muted. So if you'd like to speak during the Q&A section, please press the raise hand icon and we'll unmute your mic and you can ask your question. Okay, now, as I said, my name is Lydia. I am calling in from Uganda, Kampala, and I would just like to take this moment to ask you to share where you're from, just so we know who is in the room with us. If you'll just go to the chat and share your location there, then we'll just see who is with us today. Just take a moment to do that. Okay, hello Edna from Nairobi, welcome. I hope you have as sunny a day as we do here. Catherine from Finland, Mercy from London, Rhoda from Uganda, Linda from Entebbe. We are you're very, very welcome, and I'm very happy that you could join me and my guests today. Anne, Winfred, George, Patience from Uganda, Lucky from Kampala, Claire from Mutundwe, Achan from Kampala. I am excited that you have given us this time so we can speak with you and hopefully give you some guidelines to better build your business. Let me see who else is in the room with us. Oh, quite a few people. Joshua and John from Mbale. Hello, Elsa, Helen, Anne. Yeah, thank you all. Thank you everyone who has come in. So far, we've got about 37 people in the room. And as they come in, we'll just start and they'll join us when they come in. So about today's session, episode, whatever you'd like to call it, it's about pricing for profit. I started LYNAconcepts 14 years ago, and that has been one of the most challenging things I have encountered right from the beginning up to now. Still gives me a bit of trouble. And in the beginning, I thought coming up with a price for the product was merely a matter of calculating how much the materials cost, maybe throw in a little labor, and that's it. That's the price of what you're selling. However, that is total rubbish, because there are very many expenses we incur as we run our businesses that sometimes we forget to include in those calculations when we're developing our prices. So in today's meeting, we've split the price question into two parts. We have the cost of doing business, which is going to be presented by Victor Ojwang. And then we have pricing for profit, which is being presented by Pius Kyomukama. I hope you will find it beneficial. Please ask as many questions as you have, and we will try to answer them now. If not, we'll always send you the answers via email or on our social media. Okay, now to introduce my first guest. He's going to help us understand the cost of doing business. what are those hidden costs that that you find when you run a business. Even if you have a stall on the roadside that sells tomatoes, it is more than just what you paid for those tomatoes that goes into you determining how much you will sell each unit of those tomatoes. So Victor is here from EBC. It's a consultancy firm here in Kampala, where he's a public accountant, and he's also a team leader of AAA accounting services. He has over 25 years, 25, that is a very long time to be in one field, but the length of his career means he has a lot to share. And best of all, he has been specializing with dealing with SMEs, helping them with accounting, helping them navigate the business road and avoid pitfalls. He's also helping them with taxes, advising them about what taxes they might have to pay or how best to grow their businesses in general. So I would like you to get your pens and paper ready, write down what Victor is going to share with us. And yeah, so welcome, Victor. I would like to see Victor unmuted and the video up. Can you hear me? Yes. Hi, Victor.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you? I've been praising and praising you, and you're not in the room yet.
Sorry. You just know these technology things. Eh?
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, now I'm set up. I'm good to go.
Okay. Okay, now Victor, as I was telling you, is a public accountant with EBC here in Kampala. And he has been working with SMEs both here in Kampala and Kenya for the last 25 years. Is that right, Victor? Is that right, Victor?
Yes, that's right.
Yes, and he's going to be covering the cost of doing business. And yes, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm honored to have been invited to give a talk on cost of doing business. I suppose I'm addressing SMEs and any entrepreneur we have on the platform. Now, when we talk of cost of doing business, with the main topic being we have to talk about margins. We also need to talk about markups. We also need to talk about break-even points, analysis and calculations. And lastly, we are going to talk about taxation. Now, to start, what are the elements of
Hello?
costs? Hello?
Hello. We're having problems with your audio. Some people are saying they can't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can. Okay, now I can.
You can. Let me just try and put a mic. Eh?
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Oh, very good. So, like I was saying, for us to cover this topic effectively, pricing for profits, elements of costs, That is point number one I'm going to address.
Am I muted?
We're also going to come again.
No, go
Can you
ahead,
hear?
Victor. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes. So I'm just listing down my points, the ones I'm going to address, and I'm also going to demonstrate on how they fit in this topic, pricing for profits, as well as cost of doing business. So my points are: one, elements of costs. We also have to look at margins and markups. We also have to look at break-even points, break-even analysis and calculations. And lastly, we also have to talk about taxation. Okay. Now, when we start off with our first point, elements of costs. What are these? We have variable costs and we have fixed costs. So, what are variable costs? Variable costs, these are costs that you have to incur in order to generate revenue. Something you have to buy, something you have to do, a cost you have to incur, so as to convert it into a product or service that you can sell to generate revenue. So what are these in the context of? You may need to buy flour, you need to buy sugar, you need eggs, you know, all those components that you need to in order to come up with a product, a cake or a muffin or whatever confectionery you're considering baking and selling. Now, these variable costs, you have to itemize them in order to come up with a product, at least with a cost. I want to give you an example of one time I was at my client's premises, and the owner of the business called the manager because it's like it's a steakhouse, and what they do, they a bakery section where they do baking, the cookies for coffee, they bake them themselves. They also do like muffins, they do pies, they do cakes, yeah, and the likes. They even have a pizza unit, yeah. So the owner of the business called, asked the manager while I was there in the office that I have a client, a customer who wants to buy muffins, wants to buy scones to supply to a school. And the guy was just fumbling because he didn't know what price to give. The easiest answer they'll give is the price they normally buy from the shops. They know they buy probably a scone that, God knows, say a piece would be say 500 shillings. So they'll easily give that, but they'll not bear in mind the cost elements of producing this particular product. So I told him, you disconnect the phone and we'll quickly do a costing for that. So of course, you can't make one bun. I mean, you cannot just produce one bun. You have to produce, like, say, a packet of flour produces how many? So you have to go down into those details, like what is the cost of the flour? How much sugar do you need? How much margarine do you need? Food coloring, all those things have to be itemized. So those ones constitute the variable costs of coming up with a product. Okay. Now, after you have ascertained the variable cost, the total cost you need to produce a cake or a bun or a muffin, yeah, you have to add in the cost. So you have to add in the margin or a markup. Okay. Now, on my next point, I'm going to address the difference between a markup and margins, and we'll see how they play into this variable cost. Okay. So allow me to jump that as I address fixed costs, and then we'll go to markups and margins. Fixed costs. What are fixed costs? Fixed costs are costs that you incur whether you're working or not. Okay. You as a baker, once had a client, also a bakery, in Kampala here, and normally you'll find they'll operate from, this guy was very ingenious. He just rented a house, 2-bedroom house. The kitchen was the bakery. Yeah, the living room was the mixing area, what, everything. The other rooms were storage, what, like that. So that in itself, rent is a fixed cost. Okay. You have things like electricity. You have things like water. You have things like manpower. Your staff. Yeah. You as the proprietor also, you also need to make money out of this. So you also part of the fixed cost, your salary. Otherwise, what are you living for? Okay. So in a nutshell, fixed costs are costs that you have to incur whether the business is running or not, as long as the business is alive. Those are costs that you should be prepared to incur. Now, what will enable you incur those costs is now the markup that we're going to talk about in my next point. My next point goes to now margins and markups. We cannot talk of pricing and costing without talking about markups and margins. I've met so many entrepreneurs don't know how to differentiate between markup and a margin. What is the difference? Actually, they're different. And apparently you can also use them in your cost, in your pricing strategy. You can also use them to come up with your price for selling your items. But now, which method would be ideal? We're also going to look at that. Now, margins. A margin is the difference between your sales and your cost of sales. Now, what is your cost of sales? Your cost of sales is what we have just talked about there as variable costs. Okay? That is a cost you have to incur so to generate to come up with a product to go to enable. So margins are the difference between your sales and your cost of sales. Accountants will call it gross profit. It can also be called gross margin. Okay. What about markups? What are markups? Now, markup can be a percentage, or it can be a fixed number or fixed amount in shillings or dollars, depending on how you're setting your price, depending on the currency you're setting your price with. Now, earlier we looked at the scenario whereby you have to build your cost of sales, which is your variable cost. Okay, you need to make, say, probably to do like, say, 10 kilos of, say, for argument's sake, you need probably maybe 3 packets or 10 packets of flour. That is a cost that you have to factor in your costing. Yeah, how much sugar do you need? Yeah, you know the quantity you need. You also know the cost of sugar. You put that in it. Yeah, how many pieces of eggs do you need? Do you need a whole tray? Do you need half tray? You know how much you bought the eggs at. Okay, you factor in that, how many pieces of eggs you used. Yeah, put the cost there. That's how you're building your cost of sales. Okay. Food coloring. There are other elements that you cannot actually quantify, like monetarily. Like for example, you need to put in, you need to add some food coloring. How much food coloring would it take? Yeah. To measure food coloring, I believe you have instruments for measuring, but then that would be a challenge. For me, it will be like splitting hairs. We can factor that. You can give an average. Like for example, salt. How do you quantify salt? Yeah, you need to add salt. It's part of the ingredient. Yeah, those ones you can estimate. In accounts, we have a concept called materiality concept. You have to apply this concept, whereby if something is not like material, the value is not so high, it should not be like a stumbling block to your objective. Okay, you can always like ignore it, or you can give it a small estimate just to factor it in your pricing structure, in your costing structure. Okay, now assuming to build to bake this 10 kilo black forest cake, yeah, your cost has amounted to say 400,000 shillings, just for argument's sake. 400,000. The total cost, your eggs, your salt, your sugar, flour, and everything. You need to add an amount or a percentage. It could be, say, for example, you'll add 400,000 on top, meaning that now your price for this particular product, 10 kilos of black forest, will be 800. Alternatively, you can decide, you say you're going to put 50% as your markup. Remember, we are addressing markup. Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Victor.
Oh, good. Okay, so markup would be a fixed amount or a percentage of your cost. That is what markup is. Now, you better be careful, because you're not the first person to get into this business of baking and the likes. Yeah, there's something called industry. Yeah, what are the trends in the industry? Yeah, because you also have to be very careful. If you put a very ambitious markup, you might not end up selling your product, because your price will not be competitive. You have to also understand the industry. What is the rate? What is the market price of your product? Okay, so all these things will determine on how you're going to come up with your markup. Okay, remember, it is either percentage or it is a what? It is a fixed amount. On another note, remember we talked about fixed costs up there. It is this markup element that will enable you finance your what? Your fixed costs. So again, it's a very dicey point or thing to it's very tricky. Okay, so remember, it is the one that is going to be used to do what? To finance your fixed costs. It will pay your rent. It will pay you as the proprietor a salary. It will pay your team, your employees salary. It is going to pay for your utility bills, your water, your electricity. You will need internet to communicate. Yeah, you need airtime. Okay, to communicate. All these things are costs. You need to insure your business. Probably you also have a delivery van or so. You need to fuel it. Okay, those are fixed costs. Remember, they are costs that you will have to incur, whether you're working or not. They are there unless you've wound out business. Okay. Lastly, sorry, the third point would be break-even point and analysis. Now, Of course, I'm going to share my notes with you, Lydia, of course, after this, which you can share with members, and we are going to deliberate more properly on one-on-one on other platforms, WhatsApp or Skype or even this Zoom. Now, break-even points it requires a bit of calculations here and there, but in a nutshell, what is break-even point? A break-even point is whereby the total costs, sorry, your revenue meets your costs. That point at which your revenue equals your costs, that is your break-even point. It means you have not made a loss and you have not gained anything. Okay? Now, the importance of this calculation is that it's important that you do it at the beginning of your business, before you start your business, so that you'll be able to gauge what your fixed costs are and what your variable costs are. Because all those elements of cost also play into calculations of your point of break-even point. Okay, so break-even point, like I've said, it is the point at which your revenue meets your costs. You're going to see the calculations and everything on the document I'm going to share with you. Okay, it's a bit it gets a bit technical a bit, but I've made it as simple as possible. Okay, maybe in future presentations, maybe we may need a whiteboard or something. I would have done that, but I didn't have, COVID locked us in, and most of the staff were in the office. But now we know better, right? Lastly is taxation. Very, very important aspect of your business. Okay. Now, most of the bakeries, at least the few that I've seen, like I said, they operate very quietly in their homes. Somebody operates from his kitchen and still works and is making business. Okay, so he's still under the radar of URA. He has not registered his business. He has no TIN number. He has no what. Okay, but then when you talk of taxation, we're talking about domestic taxation. When you talk of domestic taxation, we are looking at things like VAT, pay as you earn, withholding tax, and income tax for the company. I always advise SMEs, don't fear URA. Register your business. I've had clients who are actually literally hiding, and to date I've brought them on board. They're paying taxes like religiously every month, and they're happy. Another one I was so elated when another one asked me, can we get a tax compliance certificate? I told him, yes, why not? I'm going to apply, and I applied it and we got it. And she went for a bid, because you never know where opportunities will come. Here you are, you're operating from your kitchen. Okay, now you get say an offer from the Prime Minister's office. You're supposed to be supplying donuts every Thursday for their meetings. You can imagine that kind of opportunity. You will not get it without going through a bidding process. And when you go through a bidding process, you must be asked for a tax compliance certificate. And tax compliance certificate assesses you, and you as a business owner, as well as the business. Yeah. And it's the system actually that assesses you. You don't need to know anybody at URA. So there's nothing to hide, sorry, to fear about URA. So I'll encourage you, for those who have not registered, please obtain a TIN. Okay. The tricky bit is now observing the tax dates. And now that's the space that I occupy. I have in my list of clients, that's the most selling item. You look out for tax dates, you manage their portals. I manage their portals. I look out for assessments. Those ones that are assessed, I challenge them. I go to URA for meetings. I've defended I've defended an assessment as big as 600 million. I brought it down to 30 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So don't fear, we are here. Now back to our subject. How does tax play into the pricing? Remember, you're handling vertible products. Okay? You're handling a vertible item or product. You might have a client who tells you, oh, we need a receipt, we need a proper invoice, and we need to claim the VAT. Okay? Because we don't want to lose VAT on this. Right? So for those who are naive, may charge VAT like thinking that they can get away with it. But remember, the moment that guy claims, it exposes you. And that one exposes you like in bad light, like in a criminal. You're collecting money that's meant for the government and you're not remitting it. Okay. So it puts you in such exposures which are unnecessary. You can avoid them. Okay. VAT is also an aspect of pricing. Okay. But it has nothing to do with profits. Yeah. But it's just about regulations and statutory obligations that you're supposed to meet as a business person. Okay. So I guess I'll leave it at that and maybe take up questions from the members in attendance. Thank you.
Wow, Victor, thank you so much. Sharing with us.
Yes.
I have learned more than I knew before, that's for sure. Let me just get my video back up. Yes, okay. Yes, I have learned about taxation. I am one of those people that fear URA because I expect huge bills from them when it's tax day, but seriously, I know you cannot grow if you're under the bush hiding from the tax collector. So I'm going to gather my fellow chickens and we head to URA once the outside is open, and we see about registering at least for our teams, and then also finding out what the implications are for the registration. And I am sure Victor is going to be on hand to answer your questions. We have put up his details, his email address and his phone, or you can visit EBC and talk to his team, him or his team, and they will give you more in-depth about taxation, especially because I know that is something many of us try to dodge. Okay, now if you have any questions for Victor or the topic he has covered, let's just hold on until the Q&A session, which is after our next presenter, and you can ask from there. Okay, now next we've been speaking with the consultant, the accountant. Now next we have a business owner going to add to what Victor has shared. Pius Kyomukama is the CEO of Cake and Cakey. He's a celebrated cake artist. He has grown his business, his baking business since May of 2016. Oh, happy anniversary, Pius, because this is your birthday month for the business. And he's coming to talk to us about pricing for profit. We have heard from Victor about all those different costs that go into that pot when you're coming up with a price for your item. Now we have someone who is actually using those principles to build his business by correctly pricing his products. And yeah, so Pius, welcome. I think let's unmute you on the video. And please give us a short introduction about yourself, about your business before you dive into your presentation.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, viewers. Yeah, my name is Pius Kyomukama. Yes, and I'm speaking on behalf of MUKENE. Yes, it's our anniversary month, and yeah, thank you, Lydia. MUKENE, like you had already read out to the viewers. We are into the bakery business, and well, we are located in Namugongo. Yes, our contacts are as onto the poster you put up. And I'm glad to be speaking to you this evening on this particular topic. Yeah, pricing for profit. Yes. Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Ojwang, for that presentation. It gives me a very good background. Yeah, it gives a very good background. Yeah, for a discussion, we shall pick so much. Yeah.
Yes, I think we are having some issues with Pius's feed. Hello, Pius. Can you hear me? Hello.
I'll start with a very, very simple, questions you always take for granted anyway. I'll choose that. Yeah, it is Lydia. I can get you. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Hello? Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, you had gone out of, I think, range a bit. We can't hear you clearly. Network
I'm so
things.
close to the device. Yeah, I know it's the network. I know it's the
Yes.
network. Yeah. Do I need to go back to the start?
No.
I'm not so sure what you last.
No, people will ask if there's anything they're not clear about.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah. So, like I said, I love to start with those simple questions that we always take, that we may not pay so much attention to, but they are the common words we use in our daily talk. We are talking about price, but I'll ask you, what is price? Okay. Yes. What is price? Basically, price is both the money someone charges for a good or a service and what the consumer is willing to give up to receive a good or a service. That's a price. Okay. And so there are key points I want us to note as we talk about price. We shall go to pricing. When you ask about the cost of a good or a service, you are really asking how much you will have to give up in order to get it. Okay. Now, secondly, for the business to increase value, it can either increase the perceived benefits or reduce the perceived costs. Both of these elements should be considered as elements of price. It's very, very important. Okay. Yes. And then also, viewing price from the customer's perspective helps you define value, the most important basis for creating a competitive advantage. Like we shall be discussing ahead, I'll tell you, your client is willing to pay so much simply because you're giving them value for their money. There's no shortcut about that. You should be able to give them value for their money. That's the bottom line. They're not coming to buy from you because either you're a friend or you are a workmate or a relative or anybody, you know. That is secondary, honestly. At first, consideration is the value you're giving. And now to us, to me as a baker, it is the value I'm giving in form of a cake or the cookies I might want really to give to these clients. Okay? Okay. I also want us to note that price and cost are two different things. Price and cost are two different things. Whereas the price of the product is what the consumer must pay to obtain it, the cost of, on the other hand, is what the business pays to make it. Okay? Yeah, I love it. I want us to really get those words, you know, and use them right, so that we don't, you know, at one point you shouldn't be asking one for the other. Like, you know, you should be understanding what word you're using and where. So while products, place and promotion affect costs, price is the only element that affects revenues, and thus a business's profits. Price can lead to a firm's survival or demise. You will have a good product, you'll have a very good service you're giving out, you have the very beautiful premises, you'll have very good customer care, you'll have so much around you. But if you have your prices wrong, you may not mark the 999 days. Yes, yeah, which is usually, you know, the time that has been seen to be the past 3 years. They are likely to survive for long, you know. So it's very important we look at it that way. Yes. A product or a service is only worth what someone is willing to pay, okay, for it. That's it. I know I've personally talked to so many bakers before, so many calling and, you know, trying to ask about this and that, and, you know, my product doesn't seem to be commanding the same value like my other baker friend's product, and a lot of such questions. But I want to tell you, as you set a price for your product, you should also know the value of the product itself that you're willing to pay is fine, but are you offering in return the value? Okay, so it's easy for you to say, well, I want to sell this cake at 200,000 Uganda shillings, and your client will tell you, well, I think I can only give 150,000. And you as a baker might really get annoyed, you might get pissed, you know. I think this baker is, this client is putting you down. But to be honest with you, at one point you need to look at that. Maybe you are not really giving the worth of what they are paying for, okay? So it's very important that we look at it. Like I said, a product or a service is only worth what someone is willing to pay for it. That's it. So you as a provider must make sure the value matches, okay? Yes, you must make the value matches before you ask for, you know, that much. You must know it's worth the value. Well, the simple and frustrating answer is that no one will ever tell you how much you should be able to sell your products, your cakes in particular, I must say. Yeah, it's kind of a very complex, it's kind of like a very complex situation you'll find yourself in when nobody around you sees to tell you, well, Lydia, this is how much you should be saying. But I think in the course of our discussion, we shall look at some of those elements you need to look at, put one brick onto the other, and be able to come up with pricing, like I'm going to give a bit of a formula down, which we can base ourselves onto as we price. Okay. Yes. Well, pricing your products and services right requires research of your competitors' prices and a solid understanding of your costs. Like my colleague Ojwang mentioned, you remember him talking about something close to that. You need to understand your costs to produce a given item, and you also need to understand the prices around. You just can't jump out of this until and then you're up, and then your prices, sometimes you might find yourself flying in the air, like no one seems to get you. Everyone will be wondering why and how you came up with such prices. I mean, they may not really match up. So it's very important that you look at that, because only when you look at, for example, the understanding of your costs, it's the only way you're going to I've had chance to speak to so many bakers, and I will tell you, there's been so many I've seen who for the couple of years have in their business, and oftentimes I tell them, well, you need to be investigated. Like, how have you survived? How have you survived in this business without you making any profit and production is going on? Yeah, because they don't know. It's about how much do you have. Then they will sit down, make this particular cake and let it out. Okay. Yeah. So it's very important that you do some research about your other baker colleagues in the business, like what ranges are they in. You don't necessarily need to look at or base yourself on their prices, but kind of gives you a range. It gives you a range. You should find it funny if yours is out of the rest, in the range of the rest of the people around you. There should be reason to that. And my point is, just find the reason. Just find the reason. That's my point. I love it when you do something and you know why you're doing it and you're comfortable about it. Yes. My point is, just don't do it simply because you didn't know how to do it. Okay. Yeah. It's very important that from the start you establish who you want to produce for, or your targeted clientele. It's very, very important. Still, like I'll say, I've talked to so many bakers, so many I've taught here. And one of the questions I always have for them is, well, you've started production. Who are you targeting? You're not going to tell me you'll be baking for everybody. No, you're not going to be baking for everybody. You must have a clientele list you'll put up. Like, is that class of people you want to bake for? And I'm not here to tell you which class you should really pick out, but I think it's very important. And according to your business plan, because, well, to me, if you're really set up to do business, in the first place, I should have asked if you have a business plan. So I'm not getting to that, yeah, but I really hope so. If you have none, please contact Lydia for advice and, have one. You just can't know where you're heading when you really don't know where you're coming from. So it's very important for you to identify your clientele, who you really want to serve, and then understand your clientele and be able to produce for that clientele. It's very, very important. You realize that perhaps in the time being a baker or any other business people listening in or watching, times, okay, when there's hello.
Yes, we can
Yes,
hear you, Pius.
we can hear you.
Okay, all right. I'm saying you realize that there will be times. There are times when, how come such and such people cannot buy my products, and then they will, go and buy some other person's product or something like that. And I think before you really get into complaining about that, it's very important that you look into your plan, your business plan. Is that person really part of your clients? Like, you know, before you complain they didn't come to you, are they your targeted clientele? Because your targeted clientele has a correlation. There is a correlation. Your product and, you know, and that client. Does it speak their class? Does it speak? So I won't really advise on which class you really have to go for, but it's very important to know who you're targeting. Because the moment you understand who you're targeting, then you'll do everything to satisfy them. And believe me, all other factors put in place, you retain your aim. Yes. So most common problem with pricing is underpricing. I haven't talked to anybody who is complaining that they are overcharging their clients. No, it's always underpricing. Well, I'm selling this much, but at the end of the day, I'm not seeing any money. Okay. Why am I getting into those details? I cannot get to advise you on how to price well for profit if you don't know where you're coming from. So that's why I'm getting to, you know, into some of these to provide a background, okay, for the understanding of the concept. Well, so like I said, it's underpricing that is usually the problem, and like I told you before, it's one thing that will send your business packing if you really don't do something about it. So going by the example of us bakers, time is one of the hidden costs, and I'm sure it affects every business around. It's one of those things that I've observed. Whereas we speak of other costs, like my colleague had talked about, we as bakers and even artisans, you know, we have that particular challenge that we are going to talk about material costs. We are going to talk about every other thing. Like I always want to advise, you know, bakers to go to per unit costing, you know, even the little bit, that 1 teaspoon of baking powder, please find a price for it, factor it in there. Because for us in business, you know, 1 shilling matters. Without it, you can't have 10 shillings, you know. So it's very important. It's very important. And I'll keep talking about this element of time, because whereas every other person has got everything right, time usually becomes the problem. So you find you're busy, yeah, the year has 365 and a quarter days, and you will be busy. But then if I asked you on the first day of the new year, very many of us will not even show in accountability for the last, you know, year in terms of what we have in the pocket. And it's because whereas we've, you know, factored in the per unit costing of these other, you know, elements that go into our business, we always tend to forget the element of time. But remember, every time you live, you know, you as a living person, you're running cost, you know, every day that goes by, you an expense of your own. And so if you don't ever put value around yourself, it becomes so hard. Well, you'll be able to go purchase more materials, put in stock and do all that, but you realize that it will be so hard for you to do even some of those small other things like upgrade. For example, going for classes somewhere, you'll find you don't have the resources to do that. Well, you still can afford to buy the baking powder and the flour, fine. But just even a simple course online or something, well, there will be no money. And that is what brings it. I'll explain the concept further as we move on, but it's important to note at this particular time. I would love to give a basic cake price formula, which is basically, to start with, we should look at labor, which is the hours of estimated work times your hourly rate plus the cost of ingredients plus the overhead costs, which my colleague talked about. And I know, whereas you might get this formula right, your question is going to be your hourly rate. It's very, very hard. That's one thing I've really seen that defeats a lot of people in business. Dear viewers, those watching and listening in, I must say that every one of us must, at any one point, if you haven't already, you must establish your hourly rate. Whether you are a baker, whether you are a consultant, whether you are whatever field you are at, there should be an hourly rate. I know so many people, even those who are employed, civil service or wherever you're employed, you may not have really sat down to ask yourself, but it's very important that from this point you kind of like try to establish what your hourly rate is. If you're the kind who wakes up and goes for your 8-hour job, please try to find out your value per hour so you can know what your value per day is. Okay?
Pius.
It's very important. And yes, please.
Someone is asking if you can repeat the formula so they can write it down.
Okay. So we have labor, which is basically hours of estimated work times your hourly rate. Okay, that's labor. And then plus the cost of ingredients plus the overhead costs. Now, in the cost of ingredients, that is one area every one of us is very, very familiar with. I've talked of per unit pricing. Perfect. You know how much your 100 grams of flour costs. You've really got that fine. And like I said, I know your challenge is going to be on your hourly rate. But I was trying to give you a bit of insight on how to get to it. And oftentimes I love to base myself on people who are perhaps employed out there. Yeah, those 8 to 5 kind of jobs. Yeah. I always talked to so many and realized they do not actually know what their hourly rate is. But you see, you can never realize your money, I would say, if you don't know what you're worth of, because we live on time. Yeah, every hour gone is gone about you. Things are changing about society, your environment, and everything. So basically, what you earn in relation to time is your accountability for that time. That's it in business. Yes. So yeah, I can always say much more when we get to the time of questions, just in case there is. It's very important for us to really understand the target market. I had talked about that, but it's very, very important because, like I said, price is influenced by elements that are embedded in this. Okay, a target market. A target market is simply the people who are the best match for your products and services, of course. These are the people who are already out there looking for what you have to sell, and then also the people who will happily refer you to all their like-minded friends when they fall in love with your product. That is your target market. And that takes us to one of the points I hinted on at the start. If you do not have a target market, then you'll keep complaining that other people are taking away your market, okay? And you also keep complaining that other people are selling their products higher, yet your prices are lower, but you are not getting you're not getting the clients as you expected, okay? It's very simple. There is nothing in between there, okay? It's just because those other people know their target market, okay? It's very important to get this right. Fine. Now, there are different types of pricing, and I would really want us to talk about them. Because like I said, I'm not going to tell you how to price if you really don't know what pricing is all about, okay? So let us look at the different types of pricing. We have what we call premium pricing. Now, premium pricing is the type of pricing that involves establishing a price higher than your competitors to achieve a premium position, okay? You can use this kind of pricing when your product or service presents some unique features or core advantages, or when the business has a unique competitive advantage compared to its rivals, okay? We can go to automobiles perhaps, okay? Yeah. If you look at, for example, product design and marketing of Benz and maybe a Toyota, okay? Yes. Every one of them, you know, does their thing, but of course, when you look at, for example, the Benz, the kind of adverts they make, the kind of marketing they do, doesn't mean that Toyota doesn't do that, but well, the level at which every one of them is, you know, is done is different. And so, at the end of the day, they are all automobiles. They are automobiles. I will walk to Ginger Road without standing further, enter into the showroom and pay for one. Another one would have to walk a few meters away and get into the bond next and also get their automobile. So, but it has to do with the understanding of the premium pricing, that at the end of the day, they are all automobiles. They take you places, okay? But their prices are going to differ and everyone is going to settle for a different price for a different automobile, okay? Okay, for a different automobile, just because of this premium pricing concept. I hope it's clear there. Then we also have the penetration pricing. It's commonly used pricing method amongst the various types of pricing. It's kind of like common, designed to capture market share by entering the market with a low price as compared to the competition, okay? Now this strategy is aimed at attracting more customers to switch from current brands existing in the market. The main target here is the price-sensitive customers. And once the market share is captured, the prices are increased, okay? Yeah, once you get that, then the prices are increased. However, this is a sensitive strategy to apply. It's a sensitive strategy to apply because as the market might be penetrated by yet another new entrant, or you might find yourself, you know, like my colleague said, the margins might get low, might keep low, and then you'll be bounced out of business. So it's very important to also understand the pros and cons, okay? Then we also have economy pricing. This type of pricing takes a very low cost approach. Just the bare minimum to keep the prices low and attract a specific, you know, segment of the market, okay? Well, that is highly price sensitive, okay? And usually here, products are nothing much to write home about. Surely, you've seen some of those products. You'll talk about maybe a particular type of bread on the market or something. It's been on, their prices never change as much, you know. But then it's always that kind of fallback, you know. Whenever other products are not on the shelf, it's what you'll go for. So it's not a product designed to have anything for you to write home about, but it's available. So that kind of pricing is called economy pricing. There's not so much of ingredients to put. It's just basic. You want bread, fine. There's that bread. There's nothing much to say about it, but you can eat it, you know, for bread. So that is now economy pricing. Then we also have the skimming price. Skimming is a type of pricing used by companies that have a significant competitive advantage and which gain maximum revenue advantage before other competitors begin offering similar products or substitutes, okay? Yeah. It's usually a case of items like innovative electronics that are entering the market before they are copied by competitors, okay, or manufacturers. And after being copied, well, these products usually lose the premium value, and so the prices have to drop. So you realize that, for example, we can use things like mobile phones or something. Yes. One will come out, you know, and then the price will be that high, and then it will be all over, you know, oh, this is the new thing on the block, you know, this is the new phone, you know. But then it will be that price and high. But then very soon another company will pick on, do something, clone up something close to that, and it will get to the market. And so now the clients will say, well, apart from the name, the rest of the functions are the same. So now, of course, this will bring a price lower, because at the end of the day, those who really came to the product because of the name will have bought a few pieces, but those who would still need the product will now be divided. It's not just about the name. To some, it will be the functions, okay? And so the new entrant might take share of the market. So it's very important to understand these different types of pricing. Then we also have the psychological pricing. And I'm going to rate all these with baking at the end of the day. Lydia and team, I want to tell you that there's a number of people also tuning in who are not just bakers, who are also into other businesses, okay? Yeah, the other people who are into other businesses. So I would like to really have this, much as I'm giving, you know, special attention to the bakeries.
Yes.
Yes. So we have psychological pricing. Now, this is a type of pricing which can be translated into a small incentive that can make a huge impact psychologically on the client. A customer is more willing to buy a product with that twist psychologically. I'll use an example. If you allow me use this example, Lydia, of one of the multinational stores around here, butter.
Yeah.
Butter, yes. You've gone to butter and found this very nice shoe.
Yes.
At 49,990, yeah, for 40,999 shillings, right? And
Yes.
to the client, it's better to buy that than, you know, paying 50,000 elsewhere. But the difference is 1 shilling. The difference is 1 shilling. So you realize that someone will say, oh, that one is within 40,000, so it's better, you know. The other one was 50,000, but this one, it is 40 something. But remember, it's just 1 shilling difference. So it's psychological marketing or pricing rather. It's very important that we get to know all these. So it's a type of pricing which can be translated into a small incentive, like I said, okay? And well, the seller will just have to put that, which is actually the same, price as the other, but you'll be attracted to this because they are tricking you. But of course, that is how brilliant they can be. So that's one, one other form of pricing. Then we also have the neutral strategy pricing, which is a type of pricing that focuses on keeping the price at the same level for all the 4 periods of a life cycle. Keeping the same price affects the margins, hereby causing another demise. So it's a bit of a challenging pricing strategy, but it's one of those. It's one of those. Whether it's a January or April or December, that product always has one price. Okay, so it's a neutral strategy pricing. Then we also have the captive product pricing. Now, this is a type of pricing which focuses on captive products accompanying the core products. For example, if you look at ink for a printer, is a captive product, where the core product is actually the printer. When employing this strategy, companies usually put a higher price on the captive products, resulting into increased revenue. I have at any one time, or you have at any one time gone to some of these hyper stores, perhaps maybe to buy a printer, okay, a laser jet or something. And so you find maybe it's sold at 350,000 Uganda shillings. But then once the cartridges are done, for you to purchase a new cartridge, you'll need to spend about 300,000, which is almost the cost of the printer itself. So in this particular case, the manufacturer is not looking at the sale of the printer. They know the moment they sell out this printer to you at an affordable price, they'll get their revenue from the ink sales because the prices of the ink sales are high, okay? And that goes with some, like some other automobiles here, some brand here, it's cost price affordable. Maintenance, you really pay through the noise, the nose, So it's a type of pricing, So they'll come and say this printer is at this much. Now, all these can be applied to every other kind of business, depending on how you really strategize, okay? Yeah. So we also have the optional product pricing. This is common, for example, in aviation, air travel. The major interest, so you'll buy, have your seat. But alongside that, they'll also say, if you take up this seat and maybe you can have extra space here, and of course, with this kind of advantage, okay? And then this one goes with drinks accompanying it, then the other one does not have such accompaniment, At the end of the day, there is a sale done, but they are going to keep increasing and putting some additives to that particular product, and it's a form of pricing as well. So at the end of the day, you're going to pay so much and then have extra services added, yes, maybe to your pleasure or your comfort, but then they are going to benefit from them. So it's extra revenue to them, okay? It's extra income to them. Then, of course, we also have the bundling pricing, which is the common one you always get at our hyper stores, which is the buy one and get one free. It's common with most of our stores around, supermarkets and any other hyper stores. So this is when two different products are combined together, and then you've seen a razor blade with a lotion, and then someone will say, for us now bakers, we can say buy this cake and then it will be, you'll get a dozen of cupcakes, for free. Yeah, something like that. That's bundling pricing. Then we also have promotional pricing strategy. Yeah, now here the products are bundled so as to make the customer use the bundled product for the first time. This focuses, buying one and getting a new type of product for free, but in the same kind of line. For example, you might have your cakes. You want to introduce cookies, okay? Yes. So what happens is you say, if this person buys a cake this much, I'm going to give them a pack of cookies, alongside, okay? But in actual sense, you're trying to introduce this onto the market, okay? Yes, you're trying to introduce that onto the market. And of course, now that's extra revenue for you, okay? We also have geographical pricing. This, variations of prices depending on the location where the product and service is being sold. This has to do a lot maybe with machinery or anything. You'll find that you're able to get it in Kenya at this much. When it crosses over to Uganda, the price is going to change because of so many other factors that are determined by geography and other factors. It's across the border now. So it's also a type of, of pricing. It's the same product, and you're not going to complain and say, well, how come in Kenya it is at this much, but when it crosses to Rwanda or Uganda, it is at this much, or a couple of thousands, more expensive. Geographical pricing, that is it. So it's very important that we get to understand some of those. Now, of course, getting to us bakers now, I really want to have those so many, to detail those so many questions or statements that we always make to ourselves that really pull us down and are challenging pricing, but simply because we really don't put so much attention to so many factors that are embedded in business practices. Usually, there's this statement, am I charging too much for my cakes? Oftentimes you'll meet clients. I'll meet, bakers who have been into this, even for years, but they are not so sure whether they are charging, what is, fitting for their product. They tend to think maybe, well, they could be charging so much for their product. But like I said before, it's very important to match your products, put all other factors in place. The cost we talked about, your value of time, and say, this is the price. If a client is not able to come and buy that product, sometimes it's not, they are just not your right clients. They are not the right ones for your product. So sometimes you don't need to punch yourself that hard. I think when you have all other factors in place and smartly, if a client comes in and they are not able to pay for this particular product as the price you're giving, sometimes you just don't need to punch yourself hard. Yeah. Sometimes it's just that they are not meant for you, okay? But I'm very certain they'll kind of find somebody who, who can accommodate them. Then also get, bakers who say, well, I don't feel right charging very much. I'm just starting out. My dear, I want to let you know that every time you open your doors and in the name of business, please take it very, very serious. Okay? out, like you should sell yourself, you know, to a level where you can't even afford to buy new materials or pay your rent, or because let me tell you, none of your material suppliers, I know some are even watching here, none of your material suppliers is going to tell you, please take this carton of flour for free simply because you're starting up. No. So as you might choose to keep your prices low as someone starting business, I wouldn't want you to forget that there are costs that are involved every time you come and open up that business. Okay? And there's no shortcut about that. You must meet those costs. You must meet those costs. So it's upon you to know, well, I'm starting up and, you know, I don't need to charge this much, but I want to tell you, business is business. Make sure that you're able to let the business have what it's supposed to have to exist. Okay? Then you'll keep factoring in other elements for growth. Okay? But there's that bare minimum I wouldn't want you really to go, okay, below. Yeah. Should I charge by the cake? You know, should I charge by the serving, or, you know, just a cake as is cake? Of course, I've seen a lot of that, most especially bakers, like in the UK, in Europe, mostly those are questions I always get someone, you know, asking, should I really put a cake as a cake, or I should look at per serving? Really, it depends on what really works for you. But at the end of the day, like I said, I want you to factor in all those elements that keep your business and growing. Okay, yeah. Also get some other people say prices, they want to most especially now, like us who do customized, you know, cakes, or especially who are in the specialty business, we put much more time in our products as compared to the hyper stores, as compared to the supermarkets or grocery stores. And so there's so much now embedded in our work that you really must be paid what is your business packing, because their advantages can never be your advantages. Some have tax holidays, some have, they are able to bring in materials in bulk, you know. They have so many advantages. They can even, some, you know, pre-bake and, you know, put in freezers, and when you come out, they're able to pick out a cake and write your name and you carry the cake, which us who are doing, you know, customized pieces cannot do. So do not kind of like compare your prices to hyper stores or the supermarkets, please. Yeah, do not. Just come up with your pricing strategy and just have it right. Of course, you'll hear some say, well, somebody complained about the price. They, you know, they say they charge too much. I know it sounds rude, but I want to tell you, if everybody who comes to you seems to be very fine with your pricing, chances are so high that chances are so high that you're charging too low. Your products are underpriced. Okay? Yeah. If you know 365 days and a quarter in a year, every client who comes to you is so comfortable with your prices, then you might need to go back and, you know, pick your pen and your calculator and try to find exactly what's I know, I'm sorry, it's rude, I know, but that's it. So there should be those clients who really, you know, point it out where Yes, and the moment that comes up, it's fine. It's perfect, really. It's just know you're on the right track. Of course, yes, the complaints should be on the extremes again. If everybody complains, then it's trouble for me. Please don't hold me accountable. Yeah, but once in a while, you should have that 2-3 clients, in a year who say, well, this price is quite high for me, but maybe next time I'll get back to you. Yeah, just know you're on the right track. Then also, some would say, I can't charge that much, it's just a cake. Now, my dear, I'm speaking about cake in terms of business. I appreciate 14 years ago, when I was introduced to baking, to me, it was a hobby. Okay? And over years, it was a hobby until 2016. This month, that I called it business. And the day I chose to call it business, so many things changed. It's not just a cake, okay? It's not just a cake, please. Don't just say it's a cake. It's a product you're giving your all, you're putting in time, creativity. It's a job, okay? It's a job, it's a job. So please value it as part of business. Take it serious. You can't say it's just a cake. I just chose to accept any money, the client offered. Believe me, in a few days, your business will be closed, okay? Your business will be closed, okay? So as we get to summarize, I'll tell you that to price your cakes, there are 4 key elements to be aware of. And my colleague mentioned a little bit of something about, he mentioned something about them, but let us try to go through them a bit for us to really, conquer. 1, ingredients and supplies. Those are elements you need to be aware of as you price. He explained so much, I don't really need to get into details, but for you to know how much to charge, you must understand how much you are spending. It takes time investment to calculate your ingredient costs, but it's vital, to understand what a cake costs you to make. Don't forget the cost of the boards, the boxes, and those are kind of costs that people never put into consideration, but it's very, very important. So you're looking at how much flour, you're looking at icing sugar, and all that. You forget things like the box in which you're going to pack. So like I said, I love to use the per unit cost element. So it's very important that you factor in such costs, okay? Now, number 2 is time. When you look at it well, the time you spend on a cake is so much more than just the time you spend, decorating, okay? Yeah, there's time spent consulting with, the customer, planning a custom design, shopping, baking, cooling, making fillings, frosting, fondant, and sometimes custom work like fondant, organ pesto, puzzle figurines, Yeah. So you deserve to be compensated for, fair hourly rate for the time you spend on, on the cake. So don't forget, cleanup time. Yeah. I think we've all seen what our kitchens look like, after a big cake order. Just look at your kitchen, when you have this big wedding cake order that you're taking out. Yes. So it's very important that we factor in, time, and be rewarded, for it. So my colleague talked about the overhead. Yeah, when you bake a cake, you use your oven, your utilities, your pans, your mixer, your dishwasher, your soap. Now these things you know, they all required an initial investment. Okay, so a nominal fee for their use should be added to the cost of the cake. I personally do this. On every cake order that comes out, at least there's a simple price for a mixer. Yes, I don't want to tell you how much it is. It can be 2 shillings, it can be 10 shillings, it can be 100 shillings. But I want to tell you, you should factor these in. Here is the problem if you never factor in this. You will have this machine, it will work for you, but the time its time is out, you may not be able to replace it. So it's very, very important that you kind of like factor in that. Why are we factoring in all this? At the end of the day, we should be getting value for the work we are doing in totality, you know? And so remember, if you are getting what you should be getting, then you should be able to grow your business the way it should be grown. And this is one of the areas that I've really found a big challenge, you know? You've baked for 3 years, you can't even afford to buy a new mixer. You've baked for 10 years, you just can't buy even a single deck oven. But you've been busy all these years, you know? So you just need to understand where the problem is. And that is usually the problem. You're not factoring in some of the imperative costs, you know, as you price. Of course, things like delivery, you know, you will do this, set a price, you know, by the end of the day, if you're the kind of person who delivers your products to your client, the cost of delivery of the product is half, you know, the price you asked for, you know, putting up this cake. And so you're going to pull out and then pay on the other side, simply because you did not incorporate it in the pricing. So all those are areas that I want you to kind of like look at and observe. So as we summarize, I want you to also note these key elements. Location is very important as you price. Like I always want to give examples. We have the upscale environment and then those other environments. Whatever you're able to sell in the other environments may not sell in these other environments. And so the pricing will differ. Upscale environments are kind of like sensitive environments. And so people tell you of allergies. Please, my kids are allergic to nuts. I'm allergic to this, this and that, you know. So you kind of realize that your product is going to be pushed higher in terms of standards and those other elements to cater for them. Whereas if you are in a different location, all your, you know, kind of clients that you're surrounding yourself with are in this other location, some may not bother. They'll tell you cake is cake. And so for as long as there is sugar and there are eggs, cake is cake. Either way, all these are clients, okay? But you just need to know that as you price, it will be. Some are sensitive on how you package your product and deliver it, how you're handling it, and all those other elements. So those are going to influence the kind of price that you charge, okay? It's very, very important. Of course, there are those who will tell you, even if you don't have a box, please bring it on, you know? That is now another category of them. Just understand your clients. That's my point. Just understand your clients. Don't undercut the competition. This is a serious problem, ladies and gentlemen. It's a serious problem. We tend to think, well, I'm a new baker getting into this market. I think, let me just put my prices down in comparison to everybody around me. I'll pick on these clients and, you know, match up from that. Now, here's the thing. Whereas you may get these clients, there are advantages that you are going to miss out when the rest of your colleagues around perhaps fail to perform. like I said, in business, if you remember in economics, you know, localization and those others, sometimes the advantages you get when there's such a big number of people who do the same thing you do around. There are some of those common advantages that you have. So don't usually try to kind of like sell low, okay? Simply because you want to push them out of business or like take their clients. I always want to tell my fellow bakers or business people that I talk to, quality has a voice. Quality has a voice. Let quality be one of the biggest weapons you use to win, you know, your best clientele around, okay? Because regardless of your location, and quality will beat up all those other factors around. So clients will come to you. They will even leave some other particular bakers maybe and also come to you. It's not a fight. It's not a war, you know? My point is just use one thing, quality of the service you're offering. When you try to use price, you will pull down, your clients will get to know that maybe these other people have been, you know, taking advantage of them. They run to you, you'll not be able to handle them. You want to refer them back to other people. They can't go back. The other people will lose in business. And sometimes, you know, some businesses are just a click away from collapse. You know, it's just that one other thing. So please don't use the element of you know, undercutting the price, you know, undercutting your competition to kind of like survive. I can only advise you to use the element of quality of the product or the service to push yourself high. Because when those other colleagues of yours, you know, close business, then it will be you left, and then there will be nobody to fight for you still. So you might also close, okay? So we also, you don't need to compete with supermarkets. I had talked about that, because for you, you're just a retailer, baker. You have different platforms, you know. So please don't even try to compete with supermarkets. Know your costs, both material costs and overhead costs. We talked about that. And avoid selling your craft or skill short, okay? Don't. We've gone to hospitals and say, well, I have a bill to pay, but then how come I'm even paying consultation fee for a doctor, okay? Yes, they must get value for the years they spent, you know, in class and, you know, dealing with those other things they deal with I won't talk about. Yes, yeah. Of course, you know, they were in school, and for us, we are here busy baking our our cakes and buns and enjoying them. So they have reason to ask for what they have to ask for, honestly, okay? Yes. So they do not sell their craft or their skill short. Do not sell your craft or skill short, okay? Clients are coming to you because you're able to give them what they can't do by themselves, okay? It's not exploitation. They've admitted they can't do as good as you do, and so they're willing to pay the price, okay? It's just that. Then also, have a minimum price point. Have a minimum price point. If you're the kind, if you're the kind of baker who will have a cake of 1 million shillings and then a cake of 25,000 shillings, it will bring some bit of confusion. What I'm trying to say is, if you don't have a minimum price point, it will be so hard for your clients to know exactly whether at one point they paid 300,000, there's a point where they paid 100,000. They'll try to find what could be the difference now in between, because it all tasted like cake. Where is the difference? Okay. Now, minimum price point will also help you not to go below some standards. Okay. Yes. You know, my cakes have this, they have this, they have this, and they have that. The cost is this. Okay. This is the minimum I can never do. Okay. And then anything is either this or above this. The moment you don't set a minimum price point, believe me, chances are so high that you'll be selling yourself out of business. business. You'll be selling yourself out of business, I promise you. So basically, that is it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to me. Lydia and team, thank you so much. My fellow presenter, I thank you so much. Mr. Ojwang, yes.
Thank you so much, Pius. That has been a very, very detailed, insightful presentation. And just a recap of what the points that Pius put across to us. And I hope this is homework we should all go and do. Whether you've been in business for 1 month, you're a COVID SME, or you've been in business for years, I think these are questions you should ask yourself on a regular basis to see if you're keeping on track with your business plan. What Pius has asked us, what is your market? Who is your market? Who are you targeting? Are you giving value for money? When you ask for a certain price, is that the product you're giving that valuable? Do you have a business plan? Do you know what a business plan is in the first place? Yeah. So, do you know who your competition is and what they are charging? And this is based on people who have the same skill set as you do and are giving the same type of product. Don't try to compete. You're making birthday cakes and you're trying to compete with someone making donuts. Yeah. Know who your competitors are and what they are pricing or what they are offering. That will help you with your pricing. And also, what is your worth as a business person, as an artisan, as a baker? Your hourly rate. Is it 20,000? Is it 3,000? Because at the end of the day, we are in this not for charity. We are not Mother Teresa. We're in this for business, yeah? So you have to know, and you get paid by the hour. So what is your hourly rate? And also estimating how long it's going to take you to complete a project. It's not like you're going to set a time and say in 4 hours, I have to be done with this cake or else it will go as it is. No, it is something to help you, to guide you as you price. Something else I thought about concerning Victor's portion of the session is when you're thinking of your ingredients, you're costing your ingredients, know where you're finding them. Where are you buying your ingredients? Are you going to the big supermarkets or are you going down to Chikuvo? And also, what's the quality of ingredients you're getting? That will determine the quality of product, which Pius has adamantly spoken about. And that will determine how much you can ask for your product. Okay, now that we have listened to Pius and we've listened to Victor, I'm going to open up for questions. You can just let us, okay, we have some questions. We have Rajab who asked, I think this was to Victor because it came in just after Victor's presentation. How do you incorporate the investment made in a business, such as equipment and tools, into the cost of a product? That is to you, Victor.
Thanks, Lydia.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, Rajab, cost of equipment and tools. Now, these ones cannot be factored in your pricing model. Why? Because remember when we talked of variable costs, we said these are the inputs that you need to do what? To produce to come up with a product or a service price. So when you buy an equipment, yes, you use it to manufacture, but then its value is normally, its cost is normally factored as a capital item, not as a variable cost. Thank you.
Okay, does that mean it's maybe under fixed cost? No, it can be fixed cost because it's not something you pay each month.
Fixed costs,
But
we say, yeah. Fixed costs, we say,
mm,
these are costs that you incur whether you're in business or not.
or
You
not,
can have the
yes.
machine, you can have the tools, they are there, but then you're not working. But then you have to pay rent, you have to pay your staff that you're retaining, and the like.
Okay, so I think Pius, you spoke about putting a figure on your oven, your mixer, your pans, your work table. Yeah, because those things at the end of the day, when it breaks down, you have to cough up the money to replace it. So don't forget those kinds of costs. You might not say, I'm going to break down a mixer of, let's say, 2 million shillings. And then you say, okay, it's going to make me 500 cakes. So I divide that and get, you're going to end up with a huge amount of money you're going to put per cake. Yeah. But you have to put aside some money for that replacement or servicing or adding to. You're going to grow. We're hoping you don't remain a Mulawo baker from day 1 to day 10,000. You're still using a bucket and a wooden spoon. You're not growing. You have to put aside money for growth as well. Anyone else with another question? Oh, lots of questions. No, that's the same question. Yeah, okay, we've got lots of people saying thank you. We have Edna, Solome, Mercy, Flanzy, Patience, Barbara, Emma. They're all saying thank you so much for the presentations. They have been very insightful. And yeah, just anyone else with a question, you can raise your hand. Use the raise hand icon, and then we can unmute your mic. I'm surprised there are not so many questions. People are always in my inbox asking about pricing. They actually just send you a picture of a cake. How much would you cost this? Yeah. Okay, we have, let me see. Yvonne Nakawesa says, thank you so much, Pius and Victor. I want to let my current clients know that I'm no longer charging like I have been doing. So after realizing that I've been underpricing, however, it's not that I'm adding anything more valuable to my cookies because they are so good. How do I address this to them minus making them feel offended and not losing them too? Was that a clear question? Yvonne is asking how she can let her clients know that she's now pushing her price up, even if she's not adding anything of value. It's just that after this talk, she has noticed that she has been undercharging. So she's wondering how she can let her clients know that there's a price change, even if the product is remaining the same, without necessarily losing them.
I think I'll take that. Eh?
Okay, Victor.
I like what Pius said. He said, don't value when your product has quality, you will never go wrong. If your quality is tip top, will be willing to pay for that price because
yes,
they have admitted, I'm quoting Pius, they have admitted that they cannot do it themselves. Again. So now you make sure you tweak your cake, you change the design, taste, or something. Tweak it a bit to give you justification for inflating the price slightly. Like for example, if you're in a house, you're renting a house, your landlord comes and tells you, I'm increasing rent in 3 months' time. He has not painted your house, he has not even checked the ceiling if it's stained because of the leakage and what, you would not have a basis for increasing the rent. But you see him painting the walls, he's changing the tiles, he comes into your house and says, I need to change that bathroom tile like this, like that. And you're going to get an inflated rent. Yeah, so let's look at it like that. Thank you.
Pius, do you want to add to that?
Well, nothing much really different. When such a knowledgeable person speaks, I may not have so much to so is that yeah, still, like he said, you just need to tweak something in there. But at the end of the day, if you're very sure the quality of the product will speak the same language with the price that you're going for, you're not going to find problems. You're not going to find problems. They will surely understand. Twist something in there. Of course, it might be something to do with the packaging here and there, something very small, and then let your product out to them again. It's that.
Yes.
Yeah. Good enough many of them are actually watching him, so
they will know. Okay, we have another question from Emma. Emma is asking, how do taxes factor into pricing? I don't know who is taking that.
I'll take
Victor.
it up.
Okay, Victor.
Yeah, let Victor take.
The pricing taxes will only come in as far as VAT is concerned. Like I said, you might get clients who want to be billed with a tax invoice. So it means you have to charge VAT. But then, are you worthy to charge VAT? You as a
Baker.
as a baker, are you a registered trader? Because there are requirements for that as per the URA laws. Yes? If a client wants VAT, then it means if you charge VAT, it means you're a registered trader, and it means that you're going to collect the VAT and submit it to the government. If you're not going to do that, then you don't charge VAT. It actually just inflates your price slightly. That's it. But since you want to be a patriotic Ugandan, yeah, you care for your country and its well-being, it's important that you embrace VAT. Sorry, you embrace the URA rules. You register if you meet the threshold. You collect it and you remit to the government as required by the law. Thank you.
Okay, Emma is asking, what about income tax?
Yes, income tax now again goes back to patriotism. Yeah, you know, that's what I keep telling you. Are you patriotic enough? Because when you're hiding under the radar, you don't want to register for VAT, or you don't want to register, have a TIN number, then you just want to operate down here. It means you just want to eat like a rat. Okay? You go up, come out, yeah, register, do legitimate business, go and do biddings for good jobs, and you take them up. Pius has told us, talk to us about quality. Never compromise on your quality. It will always take you up high. Okay, so income tax relates to the income, the general income of your business. Okay, because now here it becomes a bit technical. Yeah, it means you have prepared some financial statements, and you have declared that you have made so much profit, and then of that profit, you're going to do what? Pay 30% to the government of Uganda, right? That's how it, but does not apply to pricing per se. No, income tax doesn't apply to pricing. I hope your question is answered.
Oh, I hope so, Emma. I hope. Okay, this will be our last question because we've run over our planned time. It's from Sonia Agola. She's asking, what is the best contingency plan for factors such as environmental factors and legal factors affecting a business? For example, right now we are dealing with curfew affecting sell time. Was that clear?
Yes. Sonia is my daughter.
Oh.
Thanks, Sonia, for joining the meeting. Okay.
In-house things.
Yeah, in-house things, okay. Let's review your question. What is the best contingency plan for factors such as environmental factors and legal factors affecting a business? Okay. For example, right now, we're dealing with curfew affecting sale time. Now, it depends on what you're dealing in. In the context of this meeting, we are addressing bakers, I believe, and of course, other
Business
types of
owners, yes.
business owners. Okay. So if we narrow down to a case study like a baker, okay, a baker's target market is who? What? Who? Weddings.
Customers.
Okay? Customers, birthdays, big parties, functions. You get? Now, we can't do all that because we have to do what? Obey social distance regulations as stated by the government. So contingency plan. Birthdays can still happen in-house, okay? Reach out to your clients. I hope you have a database of your clients, okay? Call them, tell them, I'm going to send you a complimentary cake, yeah? To thank you for the business you gave me last year. Pick a small cake, you send to them, use a boda they're allowed to can do deliveries, yeah? That way, you're going to be holding on to your loyal customers. When it opens up, they'll surely remember you. Say, you remembered us in the hard times. Now we're still going to support you and we'll give you other references. Yeah.
Okay, thank you everyone who has sent in your question. Okay, I think I've lost everyone's. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I had lost audio there for a moment. Okay, we've got lots of people saying thank you from Anwaja, from Brenda Coco, from Emma. I think you answered his question. From Chedrick, from Sarah Sakwa. Yeah, thank you so much to my panelists, my guests. Oh, also thank you from Baker's Yard. They've said you've been very elaborate and very clear in your presentations. Yes, so a recap of who my guests were. We had Victor Ojwang from EBC, who is there as a public accountant and also a team leader at AAA Accounting Services. He has demonstrated that he has had lots of experience with SMEs, 25 years worth. And I think he has really opened our eyes to what costs go in other than just the ingredient costs or the rent. You have all those other costs that you have to consider when you're pricing. Yes, thank you so much, Victor. We're going to put up your contact on the screen for anyone who might have any further consultation. Victor is with EBC, it's a consultancy here in Kampala. And his email and phone number up there. And also EBC has been kind enough to share some resources with us. So you can send us an email to our email address, concepts.ug@gmail.com, and we'll be willing to share those resources with you to help you grow your business from the tomato stall to something worthwhile. My second guest was Pius Kyomukama, baker, cake artist, mentor to business people. He's the CEO of Cake and Cakey, and he was talking about pricing for profit. And man, guys, deep. It's not these things of giving you the cream. He has gone right to the bottom of the saucepan and given it to us. So thank you, Pius. I'm grateful. I am honored that you gentlemen have given up your Sunday evening to come and talk and discuss with us. And I am sure we have picked lots and lots. I have a lot. I am now going to sit down and work out things. What I know is that we all have to become bookkeepers. There's nothing like just estimating in these things. Yeah, you have to know, be good at math. Learn to add and subtract and multiply, divide. Yeah. So thank you so everyone. Thank you for coming and joining us. If you have any questions concerning the topics or the topic we've covered today, or any other topic you have questions about, please send them to that email address on the screen, concepts.ug@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to give you an answer either by email or in another session. Also, if you would like the resources we received from EBC, you can also email us. Just please let me know whether you just want to join the mailing list or you have a question or you'd like those resources. I would like to thank Cake Angel, who have supported us making this possible. Cake Angel is a supplier. The shop is based on Kamukamu Plaza on Entebbe Road, and he's selling the very best of tools and ingredients and the things that make our cakes what they are. Cake Angel's number is 0753 998808 or 0776 998808. If you're out of Uganda, you have to add the +25 to that. He's on WhatsApp. He ships to outside Uganda when the outside is open again. Currently, he's just shipping to Kampala, and also to Dipro, who have been our tech support here. Dipro is an online customer support company, and their number is 0754 463676. These guys, if you've been following me and you see all those cute videos and announcements and those compilations of our cake videos, that's the guy. And also he's designing our website. So if you have any need for that, you know who to get in touch with. I would like also to just say thank you to our former guests from last week, from 2 weeks back, Jean from Jollity Healthy Treats and Chantal from Creme de la Creme, also making the time then to be with us. Just to let you know, we'll have our next session will be on the 31st of May, and we'll be discussing marketing and social media. So if you'd like to know about that, I'm arranging for speakers to come and join us and talk to you and walk you through marketing your product, your business to the best of its ability using social media, because that is the future. Thank you once again. I am very happy. I am very privileged that you made the time to be with us. And I hope I will see emails. I want my email blowing up with inquiries. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Pius. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye and God bless.
Bless you too.
Bye.